This is the Bob and Tom Show. We are worldwide on American Forces Radio, coast to coast, and a bunch of great radio stations. Thanks for joining us. With us in the studio, look how handsome that man is.
Thank you.
No, I was talking about our guest, Tom Dustin.
Thank you.
TJ, you're also very nice.
Nice beard.
You're very nice.
I have sort of an oblong head. I look like a horse's jaw made love to, again, a drag queen.
That's TJ Miller. You recognize his voice, and you've seen him on the TV. And now we have a Chick McGee across the way at the Nutri-Chomp's sports desk, Kristi Lee.
Heading to Key West probably soon to win the Hemingway contest.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, yeah.
You could. I think you could win it.
I do too.
Like a place, I think. Right?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen them. You're
no kidding.
You're maybe top 20.
Dustin, I think you're wrong
Son
here.
of a gun. They didn't even sugarcoat
We've done some
There are even 20
side-by-sides.
people in queue.
Okay. All right. Give me the weekend. We'll see how close I am to him on Monday.
Well, that's
How many
ominous.
cats do you own?
A little bit.
Yeah, the old just before the shotgun pose.
No, don't.
Okay, sorry.
A little bit.
With us in the studio, comedians Tom Dustin, TJ Miller, Kristi Lee, of course, at the Bob and Tom News desk.
Happy to be here. My money's happy there.
Your money is happy.
My money's happy.
There's a Paul over the news desk this morning. Because,
Why?
Of course, Leon Redbone passed away. No pressure.
Yes, there is.
Not a fan, huh, Chick?
Never in my born days.
I think that he was,
Hey, everybody, Leon Redbone's on. Said no one ever.
I get why you don't like him, but I like it.
I like it when you do it.
Thank you, DJ. I appreciate
My
it.
friend Eric was his road manager for like 10 years.
Oh.
Just him and Leon in a van driving around the country.
Oh, my
boy.
God.
Eric, see, now I'm being swayed. Eric is a good man.
now,
Yeah.
did he ever break character with Eric?
That I don't know.
I'm sure he did.
I know a friend of mine.
over? Pour some chips and a drink. I'm going to get some Boston baked beans.
I'm out of corn nuts.
A friend of mine had to.
You can't not, like, just as a source material for that. You've got to give him some respect.
Yeah.
Once again, he was
Baked beans at the tornado.
bringing back the Great American Songbook.
One of those hot dogs.
I really got to take a leak. If you wouldn't mind stopping over at the Stuckey.
But also, it somehow comes back to Boston Baked Beans. Really got to take a leak at those Boston Baked Beans.
And while we're here, I may as well get another bag. Off the bank.
I can't. I'm not trying to be critical, but the only one of you guys that can do it is Chick.
Oh,
really?
We're all doing an impression of Chick.
I'm not even close?
No, you're
Really?
Yeah, no, not as bad as Tom Dustin.
In my head, I was like, man, I'm nailing it.
And that's not helping.
But you're kind of hearing him in your head.
But here's my question: a friend of mine had to drive around with one of the very fine comedians, one of the great comic writers of all time. You know who I'm talking about, don't you?
No. Mark Gross?
Boston
No.
Baked Beans.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I do know.
Eight dogs like.
Well, that was meant to be Emo Phillips.
Emo Phillips.
I talk a little more
It's
like
all the time.
You made him sound deaf.
So he had.
I really wanted to know where that was going.
So
I thought, who's
he had-
the deaf comic
So
guy?
he had to drive around emo,
Right.
and he would say he'd have to drive like 2 hours at a time because it was the longest 2 hours of his life because he kind of kept waiting for emo to go, okay, emo, snap out of it. You're from Chicago. Talk like a regular human being.
I'd rather not.
I'm going
So can you
stay in character.
can you ask Eric if because
Eric is such a great guy that I don't think he'll share it.
'Cause Leon Redbone
but if
was-
he did, Eric wouldn't say anything. He'd
Leon
just indulge
Redbone
it.
was here with us.
Leon's dead now. He can say whatever he wants.
Well, that's true.
Leon was here, and
of what he
were you
did.
here that day when he was here?
And
he
I
never-
have it pressed in
here.
my memory book. Of course I would. No, I don't.
And he
remember
never
him.
broke
I
character,
don't
and he had
remember
the
him.
whole get up, the white suit and the hat and everything, but during the commercial breaks. During the commercial breaks, where we talk and relax, during that last commercial break, we were talking about Key West or something, just something semi-normal. And he
Did he break? Do you remember?
No, but I remember talking to him about his hobbies and what I told you before. I mentioned he would read 150-year-ld history books.
So he would say, I read old history books. Wow, okay.
And I enjoy a Boston baked bean.
I know everything about Boston Baked Beans.
TJ, you're a talented man. That's not in your skill set.
I
No, it's not. Definitely not.
I read the back of them Boston baked beans.
I don't even do a really good impression of myself.
I can tell you the nutritional
Can I,
value.
in defense of Mr. Redbone, for one thing, he's bringing back the Great American Songbook.
Shut up.
Here's a little bit of. Oh, God. Here we go.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
Charlie is my name. Champagne Charlie is my name. Champagne Charlie is my name. By golly and roll.
You shot him.
He rhymes Charlie with by golly. You
Or I
gotta
shot
love him.
myself. Either one. I'm
They call
not
me
sure.
Boston Baked Beans Bob.
Who did he do? Didn't he do a beer commercial for a while there or something? What was it?
Slay small liquor. Boom.
Enjoy yourself some Colt 45.
Oh, I think it was
Enjoy
Colt
yourself.
45. I think.
Was it?
No,
I think it was.
Why would he do Colt 45?
More like Bartles and James wine coolers.
No, that was a beer. I
Wasn't it?
remember.
Didn't he do one of
I
the
thought
beer-
it was
I think it was
Budweiser.
Which is the only
Slit small
Bartles and
liquor.
James
Wasn't it?
reference I've ever heard in my
Thanks, buddy.
life.
Thanks.
Slate malt liquor.
Okay, hang on a second. Here we go.
Hold on.
Here we go.
Well, there's more of Leon Redbone?
Yeah, well, Budweiser.
He did a
apparently.
1982 Budweiser.
Oh, Budweiser.
commercial.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I said that 3
When-
times.
when-
Did you not
Just
listen?
Yeah, yeah.
Damn.
I'm sorry, what?
When you say Bud, when Kristi's talking, we don't listen.
Obviously.
Because we don't want
Like
to.
her.
Is it okay to say that you're doing a terrible job? Is that
Thank
fine?
you. I totally accept
Yes.
that. I deserved it, and thank you.
Mine it was better than you gave it credit.
He's still on it.
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
guys, can we just come back and give credit where credit is? Boston Baked Beans is due.
Okay, Josh Arnold. Josh, I've got a music bed of Leon Redbone
Okay.
with no lyrics. Are you
What?
ready?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, this is no lyrics.
No lyrics.
Okay.
You have to make up your lyrics.
Just him jamming on that guitar
I
the
want
way
you
he
to-
do. Yes.
I want you to
Done
sing about something in this room.
Something in this room. All right.
Something happening, something.
Something, okay, I got it. Yeah.
Here we go.
You said that he wasn't singing.
He's scatting.
But I have to do it over. I have to do it over scatting.
Over his
Okay, the only time someone says scatting with a G.
Scatting.
No apostrophe. It's usually he's scatting, but in this case, he's
All right, well, I got-
scatting,
Yes,
sir.
Scatting.
TJ, the benefits of a classical education.
I'm riding with my feather pen. My fancy
That's pretty
feather
good.
pen.
That's better.
I got it from a man who sold it to me. My fancy.
It's amazing.
Okay,
The
Chick
world is
McGee.
sadder place today because he's gone.
Chick McGee. I want you
We all
to.
wonder.
I want you to
where
sing
got that feather pen, and then it was answered immediately.
I want you to sing about something near and dear to you. Ready?
Yep.
Here we go. Something near and dear to you. Ready?
Them Washington Redskins. That politically incorrect name. God love them. The engines don't cab all the rest. It's like, no, Leon, you can't say that. Go, engine, go.
There's got to be an old American songbook called Engine Joe or something.
Yeah, there it is.
Absolutely.
Well, you don't condemn the entire
Well, I
array
think
of
you
great
do.
American songwriters.
I was talking about killing all the alligators in Florida. I think would be a good idea, considering the toddler deaths that have occurred. And
You mean the
and-
one?
And yeah, and then this woman goes, "No," and I go, "Why not?" She goes, "I'm a Gators fan." And I said, "If you kill all the alligators, that doesn't mean they have to rename the team. I mean, they didn't do that with the Redskins." That's politically incorrect.
That was a joke, and there's a lesson to be learned.
Yeah.
And if you've been listening to this show,
enjoyed over some Boston Baked Beans.
I enjoy that TJ Miller.
you've been listening for 30 minutes waiting for a joke. You got one.
There he is.
There you go.
Do people still eat Boston baked beans?
Sure.
Of course.
Yes.
Really?
You know who loves Boston baked beans?
Donnie Baker.
Donnie Baker.
Yes.
Oh, does he?
Yes.
He's
Will,
so funny.
he stops
yes,
to get those
I forgot.
specifically. Yep.
Well, so much for Boston baked beans. Okay.
You got to find a special gas station for Boston Baked Beans, by the way. But if there's anyone that can scope one out, it's Donnie Baker.
That's right.
Oh, no. TJ Miller is our guest, and Tom Dustin is our guest. Tom is moving to Key West.
Of course I am.
Well, you're going to be the only straight guy.
You sound like the guy before he changed his name to Redbone. Dick Var Milosevic or whatever.
He was Dick Armenian, I think.
Yeah, Dick Ran.
Dick Ran,
something.
Armenian guy. Okay, good.
Why is it always the first name is so terrible? I guess that's why they change it.
Yeah.
Right?
To Leon.
Were you TJ? Were you always TJ?
The story goes that I didn't understand. I think it was in first or second grade. There was another. My real name is Todd. Let's all take that in for a second.
Thanks, Todd.
Thanks, Todd. Are you on your way to the country club, Todd? And I didn't understand that there could be two people with the same name. So there was another Todd in the class. So I went up to him and I said, "Hey, either you need to change your name or I do." And he said, "Who are you?" And I said, "Well, for now, I'm Todd." And he said, "I'm not going to change my name." And I said, "Okay." So I got in the carpool afterwards, and my mother was driving, and I said, "From now on, my name is TJ." And she said, "Oh, sure, Todd." And then I never answered to Todd again, so it was good. But then years later in high school, we went around the class introducing ourselves. And my English teacher, Mr. Madison, who's still to this day one of my greatest influences and friends, he said, "Why did you change your name to TJ?" I said, "Well, because Todd, sounds like Todd and Buffy are headed to play tennis at the country club." And everybody laughed really hard, like harder than and I was a fairly funny individual. I was not an ugly gentleman. But I and everybody's laughing so hard. I go, "Oh, that really killed," And then I realized suddenly, I go to the teacher, Mr. Madison, I go, "What's your first name?" And he said, Todd. And they exploded even harder. And to this day, he was like, one of my great advocates. But yeah, I changed it because.
Wow. And he now goes by TB.
He goes by TB. Tuberculosis.
Yeah.
They call him for short.
It would be TM, isn't his last name?
His middle name has got to be Bob or something. I don't know.
Todd Bob?
Gotta be Bob.
Todd Bob.
Todd Bob, yeah, that's boy.
Todd Bob is my name.
I would love to have that as
Moonshine is my game.
Todd Bob, but we call him Todd Baked Beans, Boston Baked Beans Bob.
I like
Nobody
the
is
Bob
named
for
Todd
Peters
Bob.
and Key West. I'm sorry, this is taking
Guys,
the needle turn.
I have a hot sauce line that is proprietary.
I know, by the way, you don't mean a joke about hot sauce. You don't have a funny line about hot sauce.
I sell 3 hot sauces that I developed with the Scoville brothers out of Indiana.
No, and isn't the scale for hot sauce called
the Scoville units? Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I have a
After
trivia
them?
question before you go on. I have a trivia question for you. What major rock star, a generation ahead of you age-wise, is an authority on hot sauce?
Jesus.
Leon.
Sammy Hagar.
No, although Sammy Hagar is an authority on many things, but a major rock star, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame guy. Do you know this, Ace?
No.
He's been in the studio with us several times.
I feel like
I'll give you a hint. Ready? My first hint would be Sopranos. Does that help?
Yeah, it's the guy at the song they played when they ruined the end of the series. Right?
No,
that
Journey
sounds
song?
exactly like his name.
Steve Van Zandt?
Nope, here you go.
Jethro Tull. Well, Ian Anderson.
Ian Anderson of
Yeah.
Jethro Tull is an authority on hot sauce because it became his hobby traveling the world.
He would get a different hot sauce.
And he
everywhere.
knows, and he's also an authority on fish farms. The guy's super intelligent. But
He farmed salmon.
he had a salmon farm for a long time. In any event, back to your point, you at your shows, do you sell your hot sauces?
That'll really. By the way, salmon farm. That'll really get you far with the ladies. Yeah, listen, I got my own salmon farm. Yeah, we don't sell it online yet. I developed it for a year and a half. What I got tired of was all these hot sauces. First of all, I don't really like the idea of selling merch, like a T-shirt, just more stuff. But I got tired of hot sauces having a gimmicky name and then just being hot, like no flavor, nothing. And then I met the Scoville brothers, actually the Lins, who it's a family-owned, all homegrown peppers. They do it all themselves.
And what do you call it? I'm sorry.
It's TJ's Choice hot sauce. So it's there's a chipotle smoke. There's kind of a hotter. It starts with heat, finishes with flavor, and then a ghost pepper sauce that starts with heat, finishes with heat, and then after that is a lot of heat.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
And then you die.
Yeah, Ace is a hot sauce.
Put it on your baked beans.
Bring some samples.
And I didn't because I use all of it. Like it's actually so it is a and I'll send you guys some, but it's I just got so sick of this like death toll hot sauce, and it just there's no flavor to it, you know.
It's like heavy metal bands.
butt
running
burner.
names.
Yeah, it just is so ridiculous. So I thought it would be funny as merch to sell that, and then Be Happy Peanut Butter Company, also based out of Indiana. I'm developing a peanut butter with them because I just didn't think there was a funnier thing than a comedian after a show going, I'm also offering hot sauce and peanut butter. But it's been really, really great. And that was so important to me to have something that had heat, but was also delicious. So, and the Scoville brothers also sell their own line of hot sauce, of course, and it's amazing. You can get it at ScovilleBrothers.com. You can get it from there. But the hot sauce that we put together was, I've taken a lot of pride in. I've worked on it really hard.
Cool. We're talking with TJ Miller and Tom Dustin. Do you sell anything after your shows? Because you used to sell the flaming wallets. When we get back, we'll find out what it is.
I would love to have one of those.
They're hotter than his hot sauce.
Yeah, you can really, truly burn yourself.
My hot sauce is selling not like hot cakes, but like lukewarm pancakes.
When we come back, this is the Bob and Tom Show. Now, I was told to ask you about Stephen Spielberg, TJ. What is this about?
I have a pretty good Stephen Spielberg story. So I was in Ready Player One.
Great movie. Great
fun
movie.
epic. Just one of those few epics that reminds us again that he's the great filmmaker of our time. So I remember they brought me up there, and they don't ask you to audition. You just go to where they're filming and you wait until he says it's time to film. And that's just what you do. And the night before, I was so nervous. I'm not an actor, really. I'm a comedian. So I was just like pacing outside of this hotel going, should I read a book on acting? Like, what am I going to do? And I went in and I said, hey, I'm thinking that the voice maybe is like Boba Fett because this guy would maybe want to be. And he goes, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. I go, okay, well, I guess that's the end of that's pretty weird. And, I think a big reason I'm friends with Mark Wahlberg and Michael Bay, and a big reason is because I tease them. I joke about them to them, and nobody else really does that. So Steven Spielberg has a very good sense of humor. And the reason he's such a good director is he's so positive. There's no negativity. So he'll say, yeah, let's try it. A little more like color to the voice. And then you'll do it. And he'll go, okay, maybe a little louder and pace it up a little bit. And then you'll do it and he'll be like, that was great. That's perfect. Mark it. Print that. And by the way, this is all digital, but he's like, print it. That is perfect. Oh, that was great. Let's do it again just like that. And then you can do whatever you want. And I thought, oh, wow, it makes everybody, even Tom Hanks, be like, I am a good actor, So I sort of got that he was sort of boisterous and funny. And then one day, and Michael Bay does this too, one day he just wasn't getting it right. The acting was fine, but so he asked, let me operate the camera. So he's operating the camera, and he just couldn't get it right exactly. Couldn't get the shot right or something. And he goes, you know what? I think this is a Cheetos moment. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, an assistant runs up with Cheetos and an A&W root beer.
Wow.
And he says, thank you. And I go, is this a Cheetos moment? He goes, yeah. And he had some Cheetos, and then he shot it, and it was perfect. And he moved on. And then later we were watching Ben Mendelsohn, who plays the villain in the film. I was just there watching him act because I'm fascinated by actors because I'm not one. So I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. This person is so good at this. And as they're kind of moving the cameras around, he and I are talking about film, that's really what he wants to talk about all the time. We were talking about Witness for the Prosecution. He just knows everything about every film. And then there was a pause in the conversation, and he said, you know what? I think this is a Cheetos moment. And I just yelled out loud to the set. I go, this is a Cheetos moment. Steven Spielberg is having a Cheetos moment, and let's make sure it's crunchy. And he kind of laughed, and he went, do you want some Cheetos? And I said, yeah, absolutely. What, am I not going to have this moment? And so an assistant brought Cheetos for him and Cheetos for me. And we're sort of quietly eating Cheetos. There's really nothing for me to say. He's kind of contemplating, I think, maybe the future of film. So he's eating Cheetos, and I'm eating Cheetos. This is maybe the most surreal moment I've ever had and will ever have in Hollywood. And we're kind of both silently eating Cheetos. And then he looks at me, and he takes some of the Cheetos out of his bag, and he puts them in my bag. And I don't know what to do. I mean, I can't even, but for some reason, I just took some of the Cheetos out of my bag and I put them in his bag. And then he looked at me and goes, there, now we're Cheetos brothers. And he walked away. And I just have never, I'm so rarely speechless. I just didn't know. And I think I said out loud, well, that does it. That's the craziest moment I'll ever have in my life.
Great story.
But then, well, what was really funny is then, months later, we go to promote the film at Comic-Con. And, I think he asked for some Cheetos, and they brought it. And I said, yeah, I'll have some Cheetos too. And I said, yeah, it's good to be having Cheetos with my Cheetos brother. And Steven Spielberg. And by the way, I only call him Steven Spielberg. Like, he even said to me, like, call me Steven. I'm like, okay, I'll call you Steven Spielberg. And they brought the Cheetos. And the star of the film, Ty Sheridan, who's amazing, he goes, what do you mean Cheetos brothers? And I said, well, Steven Spielberg and I are Cheetos brothers. And he says, well, I want to be Cheetos brothers too. And I swear Steven Spielberg goes, yeah. And then he walked away. Kind of like, not everybody gets to be Cheetos brothers. Nice. But it was just such like a beautiful moment. It's so funny. And yeah, so that's the craziest moment I'll ever have in Hollywood.
You have to start a band or something called the Cheetos Brothers. Get one
Experts
of your
in hot
buddies
sauce.
who plays guitar and get out there. Could you do Cheetos Brothers hot sauce without getting sued?
No, you could dunk Cheetos in the hot sauce.
Sure.
That's
yeah,
for sure.
It tastes great. This is what I say about the Scoville Brothers hot sauce. You can put it on anything. Sheet cake, waffles, Cheetos, even other hot sauces that aren't as good.
Boston baked beans.
Yeah. That's all we really want. We want an hour of just that. I know that we do. Yeah.